Stand with Ukraine. This word became a globally known expression. These words reflect a deep connection, true compassion, and real support provided in many ways. How can coaches and coaching communities support Ukraine and professional coaches in Ukraine? What kind of cooperation is being created between ICF Ukraine Charter Chapter and ICF Chapters in different countries? What is possible to develop together now and in the future? What are the challenges professional coaches are dealing with in this wartime? This and many related questions are in focus of our conversation today, September 12, 2022. This is podcast Coaches Stand with Ukraine. Greetings to everybody who is listening us today. I'm Larysa Homans, transformational story coach and mentor, past president of ICF Ukraine, co-leader of partnership initiatives, volunteer and co-host on this podcast.
I'm Olga Vasylets, co-host of this podcast, ACC ICF, coach of creative thinking approaches, resilience, and non-violence interaction, co-leader of partnership initiatives within ICF Ukraine Chapter, volunteer. This podcast is still new, but it has already started getting a growing attention. Thank you for listening to the conversations we have for you. We invite you to subscribe, add your likes, share comments, or email to me and Larysa. You also can find the links and our contacts below.
Today's conversation is different. Olga Vasylets and I are changing the roles. We will answer the questions, and I'm very glad to welcome our colleague, Olga Panyvnyk, ICF coach, business coach, HR professional, volunteer, to take a lead as the guest host of this podcast. Thank you, Olga, for being with us today in your new role. Before I pass the leading microphone to you, let me ask two questions. What do you want to say about yourself at the beginning? And what does it mean to you stay with Ukraine?
So first of all, let me please start and thank you, Lara and Ola, for inviting me to be host of this podcast today and to have this opportunity to explore with you. And answering your first question, I would say that I'm an executive coach, human capital mentor, and consultant. I'm also very proud to be former ICF Vice-President and Treasurer in Ukrainian chapter, and I'm Ukrainian in this global, ever-changing world today. And reflecting on your second question about what does this initiative, Coaches Stand with Ukraine, mean to me, I would start with saying that coaching to me is firstly about unfolding potential in partnership. And not only coaches, but coaches evolve, grow in that partnership. And it's so inspiring to see that all those who are adjunct with this initiative are growing and changing. And second part, Stand with Ukraine. To me, it's not only about standing with my country, with my homeland, it's about standing with values which Ukraine represents today. And that would be free will, dignity, freedom, being conscious and responsible. To me, this initiative was also about finding my strengths, unfolding my potential in challenging and horrifying circumstances of war in Ukraine. It was about my ability to support myself, to support my family, to support my clients, to support communities, to support my country, and to support the United States where I am today. So I'm really looking forward to explore with you how you see this initiative and what it means to you and what future it might have. So with that, let me please ask your first question. Our listeners may know very well what Coaches Stand with Ukraine is about, and some perhaps may know very little. Let me please invite you to share what has already taken place under the umbrella of this initiative and the respective outcomes. Lara, would you like to be first?
Yes, Olga. First of all, thank you for your sharing. And when I was listening to you, I recalled immediately how I and Olga were answering the same questions, where we are speaking to our colleagues from ICF Germany. Remember, Olga, it was in March 21st, and we are telling what does it mean for us, this very powerful words and significant meaning in this word, Coaches Stand with Ukraine. And you know, Olga, you're right. Coaches Stand with Ukraine is a combination of connected interactions. You mentioned umbrella. Yes, I can say now it's an integrated approach under meaningful umbrella. And the name of this initiative speaks by itself. This is the leading and volunteering answer to what happened on February 24th this year. The aggressive, brutal, bloody, unprovoked, and unjustified full-scale Russian war against Ukraine started at that day. The life changed into before and after. And today is the 201 day of this full-scale war, when we are defining ourselves in different roles, not only as a professional people, but also as a citizens of independent Ukraine, as a fighters in different meanings, in different ways. And we are standing for the values we are sharing: dignity, freedom, rights to live, and the willingness to say that what Ukraine is experiencing today, what Ukrainians are experiencing, either they are in Ukraine or outside of Ukraine, is not about us, it's not about Ukraine only, it's about the present and the future. The best people are protecting, are fighting for, and securing for the future. As all Ukrainians, each of us wanted to help each other, any other people in such unprecedented, challenging time, to help in the ways we are able to help. And if you cannot go to the front line or join the territorial defense, you can contribute to the Ukraine's victory by donating, volunteering, providing professional support, again, in different ways. And you know that many of our colleagues, professional coaches, started volunteering, providing coaching support to various groups in many places, starting from the end of February, early March. It's so natural for coaches to care about other people, to help other people, but at the same time, coaches themselves need to get support too. Who could help them and how? In my opinion, the answer is very easy: other coaches, professional colleagues. This is why, in early March, a group of coaches, ICF Ukraine members, created a special task force, Coaches Stand with Ukraine. We started communicating to ICF chapters in different countries. We had to be very proactive and clear while speaking to our colleagues from other countries. And also we see different ways to support coaches in Ukraine in those challenging times. And we believe that every type of support matters. And it was absolutely natural that the first kind of support we received was professional support, providing pro bono coaching, coaching mentoring, and coaching supervision support. And now we connected with ICF chapters in Germany, United States, Baltic countries. We received a great level of initial support from our colleagues, and now we keep developing several very important initiatives, especially pro bono coaching program implemented by ICF Metro DC chapter, and also pro bono support from ICF chapters in Baltic countries, and coaching supervision cycle by ICF Germany. And we are talking about these initiatives in the previous 2 episodes of this podcast. And this podcast itself is another way to partner with other chapters and coaching communities. But to summarize it, this initiative, Coaches Stand with Ukraine, already became a foundation for partnership with professional coaches and coaching communities.
Thank you, Larysa, and thank you for sharing and remembering, yes, this story. And I do remember our answers, what Coaches Stand with Ukraine means for us. And I do remember that the movement Coaches Stand with Ukraine became impactful, supportive, and vivid from its very beginning. When we started to talk to other coaches worldwide, we believed that such communication and interaction would help us, Ukrainian coaches, to stand during these very difficult times. We also believe that standing with us, not only coaches, but Ukrainians, will bring more strength and power to implement the most common human values for everyone who takes a decision to do it. And this interaction brought so many interesting, meaningful, and impactful kinds of cooperation, supervisions for coaches, pro bono coaching, sharing with knowledge, and many truly deep conversations. And a part of these conversations is available here in our podcast, Coaches Stand with Ukraine.
Lara, Ola, thank you so much for sharing your stories, your personal stories. And Lara shared that all support under the umbrella of this initiative mattered. But based on my personal experience, I believe that this initiative, Coaches Stand with Ukraine, is about partnership. And partnership is about benefits to all sides of this partnership. So I'm so keen to hear, what do you believe were the benefits for those partners outside of Ukraine?
Thank you for this question, Olga. I think I will start. To my opinion, the partnership is an integral part of cooperative interactions and of this initiative in particular. There are many participants of this initiative: Ukrainian coaches, coaches from other countries, Ukrainians and Ukrainian for-profit and non-for-profit organizations, who apply then to Ukrainian coaches for support. As I say, this partnership is very multifaceted and quite complicated, and it is a balance of giving and taking. But to understand better how it is implemented, let me share my example as a participant of this initiative, as a person in many different roles. As a colleague of this initiative, I'm responsible for cooperation with ICF Germany Chapter. I'm engaged in organizational functions and do many different tasks, so our cooperation was working well. As a translator, I enable the communication between USA coaches and Ukrainian coaches, who are also coaches. As a coachee, I had a great coaching experience with a USA coach. As a supervisee, I got very significant support from German colleagues who provided us supervisions. As a coach, I do my volunteer job for Ukrainians and organizations to help them to live through these times and to grow. As a coach and speaker, I held an open event on the ICF Germany platform during International Coaching Week 2022 in May, where I shared my 5 coaching lessons that I learned during the war. And honestly to say, I shared deep knowledge of resilience, which I lived through. As a coach and speaker, I'm engaged in one more initiative, and I believe I can share it with American coaches and people. During this time, I prepared special product creative thinking workshop that I conducted already 5 times in Ukraine for coaches and general public. And now I am preparing another very special product for those who are seeking both resilience and growing using creative approaches of thinking. I've also asked our German and Ukrainian colleagues about benefits they receive from this initiative. And what I realize now, the experience of coaching and supervision is beneficial to each party, as it gives totally new experience, knowledge, and development.
Ola, thank you so much for sharing and for providing these different lenses and perspectives on how this initiative contributed personally to you.
Ola's example is a great one to show how complex and interconnected and multi-levels partnership we develop. So just look at when someone is getting the pro bono coaching support, for example, and then that person is providing pro bono coaching for other people, and those other people are doing the same. So we are getting the ripple effect. And just one initiative, I am calling it like new story, is the invitation to develop and to bring to the life emerging new stories. And I'd like to summarize that this experience is very important at the different levels between organizations, chapter to chapter, professional co-actions between coaches, and I am sure that the new partnerships will showing up, and also integrated approaches, coaching supervision, joint event, speaking event, learning opportunities, and educational, informational, professional development. And just take the one example, the pro bono partnership project we are implementing in partnership with ICF Metro DC chapter. So this is a chapter I approached directly in early March. And I remember the moment when I was sending emails to the president of the chapter, Marilyn Thomas. In 2 days, I received a direct call. Hi, I'm here. Let's talk about it. And this is another example that this very special and unique professional and humanitarian partnership. Even if this project looks like just complex pro bono coaching project, it's much more for many reasons. I was sharing these reasons when I was speaking to the pro bono panel during the International Coaching Week. The first, this partnership is happening in the real wartime. Who did have it before? Who did have that kind of experience? How to provide coaching during the wartime in different ways, at the different levels. Second, it's implemented as a chapter-to-chapter project. ICF Ukraine Chapter never had anything like this. Our colleagues from ICF Advocacy Chapter is saying the same. They were delivering many pro bono initiatives, but they are partnering with the chapter for the first time. And third, typically, coaches provide pro bono coaching for other groups. Coaches tend to help as many people as they could because we are so heart-open, heart-focused. In this project, the coaches are getting extremely valuable pro bono coaching at the most challenging times. And what kind of results it's possible to get? Just come back to Ola's story. And four, it's a combination of an emerging initiative and complex project. Actually, we are developing the new way of how to partner with other chapters. And five, professional coaches from both chapters, our chapter, other chapters, are not just having short-time coaching engagement. I believe we are setting the stage for testing and emerging new ways of partnership at several levels at the same time: professional, social, humanitarian, personal and institutional, local and global. I believe that the impact of this partnership will be also a very high, diverse, and complex. And this is where we are now.
Thank you so much, Lara and Ola. And if I may just summarize in my own words what I've heard, to me, core impact of this partnership and benefits are about experiences on very different levels: individual, both professional, organizational, and I even dare say country levels. And with that experience, new outcomes would be possible, new results would be possible, again, on very different levels, on levels of ourselves, of teams we belong to, communities we contribute to, countries, and I even dare say the whole world. And with that, out of curiosity, could you please share what is the most unexpected outcome of the initiative up to date? What did surprise you the most?
At the beginning, as one of co-leader of this initiative, Ola is another one. Actually, I didn't have any specific pre-designed results. I think it was totally new way to develop partnership. So with very strong intentions to be open, to come, to speak, to open the door, to create joint experience, really joint experience. The unexpected outcomes, I can say, can be divided in two different ways or two different groups. Actually, it's one line from positive moment to some challenging moments. I will start with positive moments. We experienced strong empathy, openness, and willingness to support. At the beginning, when everything was very challenging, very harsh, very painful, it was necessary for us just to feel that we are heard, we are seen, and we can rely on professional support. And the second one is ability to find common ground and start taking actions very quickly without following with a lot of procedures, which is natural. If you're working for the big organization, you have some steps how to follow, but it was really emergent partnership, emergent co-creation. And the third, very important, it was a creative approach to develop a very complex initiative from scratch. Also, I must say, there were some challenging moments. Unfortunately, there were situations where I saw that professional people trying to stay distance and not touching challenging topics. For example, at the beginning, to call the war, not conflict, not situation, not difficult circumstances. We are saying what is happening in Ukraine at the full scale war. And unfortunately, even now, there are some professional colleagues who are trying to avoid to talk about war. I think it's a challenge. It's not for us, but probably for the whole coaching community. But again, I'm speaking for myself. In my humble opinion, this is I'm sharing. Another challenge, maybe not willingness, but some tendencies to appeal to professional values at the foundation for any conversations related to the war again. And I think I cannot say anything new for you, but sometimes we are asked to stay neutral, not be judgmental, stay away from politics, not mix politics and professional approaches. This is positive and challenging moments. And I think we need to be brave enough to accept these challenges and to deal with them, at least discuss openly, keeping in mind the professional values, but war is making sharper everything and the understanding the core human values: dignity, rights to live, freedom, and willingness to express who you are, not only to express yourself through professional roles, professional identity. Core identity is what is making us human.
Lara, thank you so much for being brave to stand up to the values you just mentioned. And Oля, would you like to share your unexpected outcome?
Yes, I would like to share it. And I agree with Larysa that this initiative brought both positive and challenging aspects. First of all, which is positive aspect. I met so many amazing professionals with very strong values and vision. And I feel a lot of gratitude to everyone who took a decision to stand with Ukraine. During these times, I found so many supports and openness from coaches to cooperate and to do something valuable and significant together. It's amazing, I think. And among challenging aspects I faced, the first one is neutrality, which can be both about conscious responsibility and conscious or unconscious avoidance. We didn't expect nor wanted the war coming to us, but it happened to us. And this brought totally new challenges, which required totally new vision and ways to cooperate with them. Afterwards, I believe that leadership, responsibility, and strong values are reliance that help us to build the future we want to live in.
Ola, Lara, thank you so much for reflecting on the journey of this initiative up to date and on showing both sides of experience which you and initiative experience, both positive and challenging. And I would like to invite you now to look into the future and those coaches who will listen to this podcast. If and when they stand with Ukraine, how could they contribute towards development of this initiative? How do you believe this initiative may unfold in the future?
It's a good question, and I think it would be better to address it to those coaches who stand with Ukraine or wish to do it. On our part, we are glad to invite these coaches to our initiative and to contribute what they want to and ready to contribute. As I realize now, what we need is to have more sincere and deep conversations about coaching in the modern world, full of aggressive and hard things, about ethics, values, and possible ways of our growth, to cope with these challenges and to grow.
I agree with Ola that to understand what does it mean to stand with Ukraine and how these initiatives can unfold, I think the first, it's for us, how we see the future movements, and the second, how coaches who are already standing with Ukraine in different ways and who are going to do it. Because it's not about just the wartime. I think it's about a connection which can last much longer. At least it's our intention, initiated these things. And I'm strengthening on the word understand first, to stand with Ukraine. Because many conversations I had started with the gentle invitation, please share a little bit more about what coaching in Ukraine is, or what coaches are doing, or how you are developing, or what ICF Ukraine Chapter is doing. So this is another way how to stand with Ukraine, to understand that this country is having very strong potential in different ways, economic potential, professional potential in different fields. And also another way is to bring topics and questions and challenging questions to discuss. We are open for this. We are going to bring more focus for the next conversation. We are going to speak about coaching and leadership, not how to coach leaders, but how coaches can take a lead. And especially in the challenging times where it's necessary to take responsibility for the contribution professional coaches are making in the society and what is the responsibility within the society. And also we are going to speak about ethics, definitely. We are going to speak about resilience, about dignity, professional values, and connections with human values. So we are open to discuss different topics. And another way I can see how these initiatives can be unfold, how coaches can keep staying connected, developing, creating something together. For example, invite each other to speak at the events or exchange articles, blogs, or have podcast conversations. Another level is how chapters, coaching institutions can use the newly developed experience. It's possible to have cross countries, cross organizations, new stories or new initiatives. Another way, how it will be possible to develop cross-professional initiatives and projects, because what this unprecedented challenging time brought to life, it's we need to combine different approaches. And this is why coaching and psychological support and educational efforts and communication engagement should come together. And I think the future of coaching is very promising. And the way we are partnering with different chapters and with different coaching communities, probably the one angle or additional focus, how coaching can grow in the future, because the future is happening today.
Lara, Ola, thank you so much for sharing and for reflecting on the question. And while listening to you, I remembered a conversation which I had with Lara sometime after war started. And I've heard from Lara, life is more than war. And I thought that, yes, Coaches Standing with Ukraine started because of war, started during war. But I do see and I believe that it may evolve and unfold in years to come, not just within the framework and organizational structure and rules of ICF, but be based on the desires of partners and coaches to support each other, to co-create together, to design and to execute, and to grow together and to make a positive impact.
Yeah, I remember that conversation, Ola, too. Life is bigger than war. Human values are coming first, professional values are coming after, or professional values have the foundation, which is human values. And the third, courage, is a driver to open new possibilities at the time when it's very difficult to see new possibilities. And I think when we have courage, we are able to create, and courage and creativity are coming together, as to me. Ola, I have the same questions to you. You're also involved in enriching connections within these initiatives. May I refer the same questions to you?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And when I'm thinking about how partnership between ICF Ukraine and ICF Pittsburgh has evolved and what opportunities we have, it might be breathtaking. There are a few challenges, but we will cope with them. And reflecting on how everything started back in May during International Coaching Week. It was a networking event between members of ICF Pittsburgh and ICF Ukraine. And that event was about human-to-human connection, about providing support to each other, finding ways together how we could partner in the future and benefit both chapters and members of both chapters. That has resulted already ICF Pittsburgh donating some funds to ICF Ukraine, and that is of a great value. Besides financial support, it's also recognition that we would need this support in a year when Ukrainian chapter doesn't receive rebates from ICF International. It's a support to ensure that we could sustain our operations during these war times. ICF Pittsburgh also opened opportunities for ICF Ukraine members to attend their webinars for free, as if we were ICF Pittsburgh members. And ICF Ukraine members preparing webinars to be run on the platform of ICF Pittsburgh, and more opportunities definitely to come. This particular partnership also spurred partnership with ICF Florida, and more is coming there. So I'm just thinking, when we do things together based on values, they spur more and more good things. So it's like vicious cycle. And it's perhaps one of the wishes I have towards this initiative. So it would become like a vicious cycle, and more valuable and great things would create more useful, impactful, valuable things, projects, partnerships in the future.
I hope that we'll be talking more about the new partnership initiatives you just briefly described. Now, I'm very glad to thank you, Ola, for leading today's conversation. It was amazing to be the guest of the podcast we co-host. Wasn't it, Ola Vasylets?
Yes, that's true. Thank you, Olga, for this so interesting and honest conversation and for your amazing questions.
Thank you so much, Lara and Ola.
For everybody who will be listening this podcast, please share your comments, questions, thoughts, ideas. Let's stay connected. You can see Larysa's and my contacts in the description for this podcast.
Once again, it was our privilege to have this conversation with Olga Panyvnyk, ICF coach, business coach, HR professional, volunteer, who took a lead and a guest host of this podcast. As usual, thank you, Olga Vasylets, my dear friend and colleague, for being conversational partner for this podcast. I look forward to coming back to work together on the next episode. So as a co-host, I'll be very busy in the coming weeks. And using this time and opportunity, we say many thanks to all coaching colleagues who stand with Ukraine. More talks are coming, more initiatives are showing up. Stay tuned, stay connected, stay with Ukraine.